that really resonated with me that Pastor D mentioned was God's plan to disappoint the disappointed. God is preparing to disappoint those who thought they defeated you through betrayal. Some individuals walked away or spoke negatively about you, but God is reversing their expectations. God will surprise your friends and shock your enemies. I want you guys to take a second and think about what I just said. Okay, that's too long. Anyway, but today we're going to be talking about the Goshen Anointing, which talks about the realms of financial stability in our life, but also understanding what God has for us. Ariana here is going to bring up our first point. Welcome to Pop That Tea with Pastor D. Welcome back, guys. I mean, I know you missed us. It's been a minute, you know what I'm saying? But we're back. Hey. And of course, I'm your host, Samira.
And co-host, Ariana.
And we're back again with another video.
First point, guys. Budgeting. Because I bet you right now at your front door, you got an Amazon packet. Better, you probably got a Shein. Better yet, while you're listening to this, you probably ordering something right now. I'm stopping you right there. We're going to put that down. You're going to listen to what I got to say about budgeting. Basically, what I learned, budgeting isn't about money. It's more about stewardship. And why I say that is because sometimes we don't, manage our money right. Sometimes we're not, timing our spending basically. Like sometimes we'll go out and you may have like a budget, or you may not want to spend nothing, but you're probably out with someone and now you're like, oh, they're buying stuff and treating themselves, let me go ahead and, but you knew you didn't have that money to go out and be spending. So that's what I mean by like timing. So, and I'm one of them. I'm gonna call myself out. Yes, it's true. But you gotta learn to budget your money.
For me, one of the biggest things that I learned is that what my parents did, how they handled their finances when I was younger, and me watching them handle certain financial situations, I don't have to copy the same things they did because they are my parents. At the end of the day, when you go to the bank, you pay your bills, and I gotta be like, oh, what did your parents do? They're gonna ask about what you did. So not always using what your parents taught you or what your parents shown you how to be responsible, because a lot of times when we become adults and we start getting money, we get jobs and we start saving that money, a lot of us, especially families that were once in poverty but now is in a better situation, you feel like you have all this money and now you get to buy things you really wanted to buy when you were a kid. And then once you get in that cycle, you can't get out of that cycle because you want to spend, because beforehand when you were younger, you couldn't spend at all. Or you couldn't enjoy certain activities like all the other kids. Like you had to watch kids enjoy their life where you had to sit around on the sidelines. So one of the biggest things I had to learn is I can't just spend all my money because it's there and I have it. I have to, be responsible, hold myself accountable, and not blame my parents for not teaching me something because they might have not known how to teach me. So it's all about asking questions, getting the help you need from other parties, while also saving, investing, and always having an emergency fund for yourself. And learning to say no when people ask you for money. Like, yes, you can help people. As Joyce Myers said when I listened to a podcast about daily joy in life, she mentioned that she loves giving, but at the same time, people have to learn to be responsible for their own spending, responsible for how much they spend their money, because I can't always give you money because you need it. You have to be responsible when to be responsible yourself. Like me, personally, I love giving back. I love helping people, but it gets to a certain point when they start taking advantage of your kindness and they keep asking you. So it's just being self-aware and knowing the signs of when people are trying to take advantage of you. And it's okay to say no, because no is a complete sentence. And if they get mad, they can stay mad, because with you getting in a financial bind because you gave so much to others, you're gonna end up blocking your own blessings because you gave so many of your own blessings to other people. Like, it's okay to bless others, but with restrictions, with boundaries. A financial budget,
Yes.
blueprint.
And she put it in categories for us. So right now, 70% expense.
10% tithes, 10% savings, and 10% investing. So making sure you're calculating how much you make within a month properly. I know a lot of people, for me, I get a little confused on how to calculate my own budgeting because I don't work consistent hours every week. It's not like a 9 to 5 hours. It's like, oh, sometimes I'm working 6 to 2 or 6 to 3. Like, it's not consistent every day or every week. So it's kind of hard to calculate your budget, but always do an estimate. And then always make sure that if you are doing calculations, that you also take an account of, the responsibilities that go into budgeting too. Like, paying your bills on time and making sure you have money just in case something happens and you can't work for a certain amount of time, making sure you're fully prepared. Like me, I like to be prepared for every situation. And though you're not always prepared for every situation to happen, but you always have to anticipate something's going to happen. Not thinking negative ahead of the future, but just making sure that every scenario could happen or it couldn't happen, but just making sure that you're aware of what could happen possibly, especially with the time of the world we live in, especially with hurricanes and different storms and floodings that's happening. Always prepare yourself and make sure that if you have like different policies, like insurance policies, that they're up to date, and make sure that whatever coverage you have can cover any type of, catastrophe or disaster. Because I definitely made sure I looked into that after all the stuff I've seen on the news. So being intelligent with your spending, but also learn to be a stewardship, using the money that you earn to also bless others.
Especially your tithes. I like to put it like this. I'm gonna break it down how I see it. When I think of tithes, I'm thinking of giving or sharing my money to God, and then God's gonna bless me in the future because I'm sharing my money. I'm not being like, what's the word? I'm not hogging all the money to myself. Like, I'm sharing it with God. Better yet, it is God's money because it's like you're sharing with Him. So, and my mom broke it down to me too. When you give to God, God will give you more. Always give your tithes to Him. And that's the way how you can always think of it. Because, okay, so basically somebody told me that when they think of doing tithes, they're thinking of giving money to the church. And it's just the church take all the money for them. But I had to, and my mom had to put in my head, like, you're giving your money to God. It's not towards like the church and the church to do whatever with the money, but it's towards God. So I do want to put that in somebody else's heads too. Like, it's going to God. And if it goes to God, you're going to get more from God.
Yeah, don't think of it as you're giving your money to the churches and they're going to use it. However, a lot of, especially here at the Ninth Western Branch, a lot of the money that's being used is to bless other people. So as one of our biggest slogans is church is supposed to change lives, making sure that lives are changed for the better so that other people can see what God can do in their lives. Also putting a testimony in their heart so that they can share the gospel of Jesus Christ. But another point I wanted to bring up that really resonated with me that Pastor D mentioned was God's plan to disappoint the disappointed. God is preparing to disappoint those who thought they defeated you through betrayal. Some individuals walked away or spoke negatively about you, but God is reversing their expectations. God will surprise your friends and shock your enemies. I don't want you guys to take a second and think about what I just said. Okay, that's too long. Anyways, let's continue.
I didn't think about it yet.
While I'm talking, just think about it. But I really resonated with that part because I personally, I'm going to share my testimony on that part. I've been disappointed a lot of times and I've been betrayed a lot of times, but I don't let it affect me in a way that will change who I am inside and what God has for me in my heart. I just use it as a learning lesson. I take everything as a learning lesson, even if it's just something small, itty bitty bitty. But also thanking God for the small victories and for the trials, because sometimes God gives us trials to learn. Like, if you're asking God for strength, He's going to give you something to be strong about. Or if you're asking God for peace, He's going to give you something to be peaceful about. Like, understanding that what you're praying for, God is not going to give you what you expect. Everything in God's plan is not to our expectations, to His expectations. And understanding that God is going to end a long season of suffering, especially related to the experience of Joseph when his brothers sold him into slavery. Like, he suffered for a long time, but it felt like a long time, but then the blessings came afterwards. So the blessings took over the trials that he went through. And one of the biggest things that I really loved about the story of Joseph is that towards the end, he still welcomed his brothers into his home, still loved them, even though that he felt betrayed and hurt by his brothers. So my key thing I want to share is, it doesn't matter how bad people hurt you, you still treat them good, because a lot of people are expecting a whole different reaction. Let's be honest. People are going to expect you to be mad, rah, 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 and stuff. Like me, I'm not going to show you how angry I can get. I will get angry, but in my own time, in my own spacing. I'm not going to be loud. I'm not going to speak. Basically come out of character for someone that doesn't deserve to know my character.
Basically, not trying to feed into that person.
Because you're the main character of your story. So don't let these supporting characters ruin your story and then they end up being the main character. Like, that's not right. Like, if you're the main character, you're the star of the show, don't let these extras get in the way of that. I'm just saying, because I let a lot of people get in my way, and it took a lot of learning, took a lot of praying, and it took a lot of time meditating on the word too. But that also goes with faith without works. You have to work for your faith. You can't just ask God to give you something and you don't do nothing for it. Like, you have to actually do the work so that you can see the results. Because I always asked but didn't give what I needed to give to earn the results that I wanted. But it's not about what you want, it's about what you need.
All I can say is, sometimes you will be stabbed in the back by strangers, your friends, your family, and some of them may try to bring you down, but at the end of the day, like Marta said, you are the star of your own movie, basically. This is your life and not theirs. You will have some people that want to be like you, try to break you down, but you are the highlight. And again, as long as you got God by your side, and when people try to bring you down, God's gonna have that boulder and push them out your life. And guess what? You still the highlight of their own movie. But that's what I got.
Sometimes you have to be silent in order to hear God. And one of the biggest things I want to share, and then I'll close for real, is when you get to heaven, or when you get to those gates during judgment, God is not going to ask about what such and such did to you. He's going to ask about what you did. So you can't worry about everybody else. Sometimes you just have to worry about yourself and the way you're living. And you can't be jealous or envy someone else, because they might have gotten that way the wrong way, but God is going to take you the right way. You just have to go over some roadblocks, probably trip and fall, but when you trip and fall, you get up, right? So it's all about learning how to fall, learning how to get up, learning how to crawl, learning how to walk. And then eventually you'll run towards the finish line. But you have to let God make those decisions for you. And you have to lead a very faithful life too. Now, I'm not going to say you got to be, perfect, because God didn't make us perfect. Sometimes we have to make mistakes. Sometimes we have to learn from our mistakes. Yeah, I want you to think about that one. I hope you guys enjoyed our new episode of Clock That Tea with Pastor D. You guys have a great one, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share, because this is a word for somebody out there. And if you want them to, get a little feedback, send it to them.
And also, don't be scared to bring it on to the Mount Western branch. Now, our doors are always open for anyone.
And if you don't know the address, here's the address. 4020 Raintree Road, Chesapeake, Virginia. Let me say it for the people in the back. 4020 Raintree Road, Chesapeake, Virginia. And I hope to see you guys in church in the purple sleep.
Don't forget the time, at 9 a.m. The doors will still be open, but
not at 12 o'clock, no. Oh! All right. Hope you guys loved it. See you guys next Sunday.